What's going on, guys? You're watching The Hungry Handgunner. I'm Nick, and today I'm going to give you the detail-laden version of the Gundies video. I'm going to kind of explain things a little bit better before I roll in footage and all that good stuff. This is going to be the Paul Harrell version, if you will. I'm going to leave nothing up to guesswork. Well, I'm going to do my best anyway. So, I am prompting myself by my gallery on my phone here. Number one, Texas is freaking beautiful. So I know some of you guys, Sierra, Bravo, and some others live out that way, and yeah, y'all got a beautiful state. It's awesome. The other thing they have in Texas is this. That, ladies and gentlemen, is as close to heaven as you can get in a bag. What I'm referring to is Whataburger. Phenomenal. I don't know why we don't have that here. I've got to do more Google on that. But yeah, I made it a point to hit it before I left the state again, just because number one, my arteries were not fully clogged, and number two, it's really good. So if you've never had it, make it a point to get out there. So you know how people will ask you, hey, if you won the lottery, what would you do? And you know, there's all the way, I'd help people, and I'd get a sports car, and I'd do this, and those are all perfectly fine. I, for one, have a new answer. It is drive tanks. So I know that if you watch other YouTube videos, Brandon Herrera, the AK guy, he's been out there. Demo Ranch has been out there. Kentucky Ballistics has been out there. Gun Drummer has been out there. Other people have been there. I had not. I had no clue what to expect. Turns out everything that I thought it would be and then more is what it is. There's full autos on a wall, just a big wall of happy, and they have giraffes and things like that, and rhinos. They've got 2 rhinos and zebras, and there's kangaroos and other things out there. I didn't get any pictures of the kangaroos, and the rhinos were kind of hard to get because they were in an enclosure for now, but the giraffes were out free roaming. So enjoy the footage of the giraffes. Now, while we didn't actually get to drive the tanks or sit in them and fire them from inside, and I think it's important to explain why, because I too was like, well, why do you have to pull the cord from outside? The breech block on the tanks, so these are all older tanks, you know, there's not really a Napa Auto Parts for tanks where you can go and get replacement parts and things like that, but the breech block area will wear out over time, and unfortunately there is no indication just how close that is to going. So if you were to be sitting behind that and fire a round off and it choose that moment to give up the ghost, then you would probably also be giving up your ghost, because it would most likely turn you into a can of ravioli inside the tank. That wouldn't be good. So you pull it from outside and everybody's happy. We don't get to drive the tanks because, well, tanks are expensive, and that's fine. We get to climb on them, take pictures and things like that. So here's a little montage of what they have for tanks at Drive Tanks.
You think they're going to smash the Civic for us?
I would love to see that.
It is just kind of sitting there waiting for it.
They better. This is just a smasher thing.
They call it a crusher.
I got mine at home.
Now, I really wanted to go to SHOT Show this year. I was really looking forward to going to it. It was going to be my first gun industry event of any kind, and they canceled it because of the Rona. So that kind of sucked. However, the Gundies got turned into a mini SHOT Show of sorts. Based on what I know of SHOT Show, that's what it looked like. There were booths with different vendors, and a lot of the vendors were also sponsors of the event, so that was cool too. got to go around and talk to people from all sorts of stuff. The HK booth, which I don't have on the channel yet, and if you guys know anybody with HK, tell them the Hungry Handgunner hasn't done an HK video yet. Well, we'll see if we can make this happen. And we got to talk to a Henry rep and shoot some Henry rifles, which brings me to my favorite thing to talk about. The Henry Big Boy Model X 357 Magnum. That was my favorite gun that I shot.
This thing just feels good.
Yeah, it's smooth.
He's got a Creole golf ball.
There were some guns that I shot that were bucket list guns. The H&K full auto. And also the Steyr AUG, which happened to have a suppressor. But my favorite gun that I could realistically get, hopefully in the near future, is the Henry Big Boy Model X lever action 357. It is somewhat tactical because it has a synthetic stock and it does have a rail to put bipod, light, whatever you want to put on there. I think it had a 7-round magazine capacity, but what struck me was just how buttery smooth the lever action was on it. I have a Marlin 3030. You guys have probably seen that in a couple videos. That's really the only lever action I have, and my experience with lever actions is fairly limited. So shooting something that was that smooth was awesome. They also had the Henry Big Boy, I'm not sure what trim level it was, but it was a 44 Magnum. And me and Kyle from Gear Know-How, if you don't know him, side note, go check him out. We were shooting them side by side in the clip I'm about to roll in, and I think it is pretty cool how we synced up on that. There was no rehearsal, things like that. So enjoy that.
Yeah, it looks nice.
I do also think that it's important to note here that the ammunition provided for this was provided by the vendors, so it was kind of neat to go out and shoot and not think about the COVID economy dollar per round that you were putting down range. So that was kind of neat, and a big thank you to those guys for making that happen. So essentially, the Gundy Awards is a way for the gun content creator community to recognize or be recognized, I should say, with votes from you guys, from the viewers. And we got to vote too, we just couldn't vote for ourselves. So I think it's a really cool thing to do, and the cool thing about it for me is gun content creators are typically walking a very, very thin line on a very, very thin sheet of ice with the way that modern media companies do things. Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube itself, with demonetization and then just deleting whole channels sometimes. So I think that it's neat to have something where the community can come together and celebrate the most innovative creator or most innovative brands, the best creator turned entrepreneur, or most entertaining. I think it's great to have that, and I think it's a phenomenal way to kind of recognize those guys and gals when they are doing stuff that's good for the community and entertaining people too, because that's half of the equation, right? Information is good and things like that, but I think all of us like to make people laugh at least a little bit. So that's a really cool thing, and I was really honored to be there kind of spectating the awards ceremony. Fantastic thing. And now for some shameless name dropping. The people I got to meet, because people have been asking, I got to meet Ian from Forgotten Weapons, and I'll just give you my impressions of these people. Hopefully nobody gets mad at me for this, but Ian is very smart, and if you watch Forgotten Weapons, I'm sure that you've picked up that he does possess a above average intellect. Very smart guy, and pretty down to earth and awesome. And when he was shooting different guns, I take it some of them were guns that he had not shot yet. He very analytical. If you're watching him shoot, it was like he was trying to figure out every little thing about the gun, so that was cool. I got to meet Pew View and Pew View's cameraman, which is what they go by on Instagram. If you guys are over there and you haven't checked him out, do so. The guy's incredible with a gun, does some really cool trick shot things like that I have no clue how to do. I have a funny video coming out soon on that over here. It's going to be up on Instagram beforehand, so I can tag him in it. But if you don't follow me on Instagram, just a little side note, it is just Hungry Handgunner. Not the Hungry Handgunner, just Hungry Handgunner, all lowercase, all one word. And that's where I do more of the mundane, day-to-day stuff and wannabe funny stuff. Pew View and his guy, really cool people from Iowa, awesome people. And then Scott from Kentucky Ballistics, super helpful. We talked about YouTube's monetization, demonetization, things like that. He gave me a few tips there. Just as down to earth and whatnot as you see in the videos. This is truly a guy that shoots and has fun, and there happens to be a camera present. I got to meet probably my biggest firearms related idol. I'd call him that. He'd get mad if I called him that, I think, based on how humble he was in person. But Jerry Michalek, incredible guy, and I touched it. I did touch it. I touched it. His trigger finger, guys, get your minds out of the gutter. But I did touch his trigger finger, which I think is the only full auto that the ATF can't regulate. So there is that. I met him. Very laid back, very cool. I briefly met his daughter Lena. She was laid back, cool, humble. These people acted like people. They didn't act like the absolute gods and goddesses that we make them out to be in the shooting community. So it was very cool to see that. Going on down the list, I did meet Brandon Herrera, the AK guy. Brandon is every bit as funny as you would find him to be in his videos. The White Claw thing with Brandon, it's not just for the videos, guys. I'm pretty sure this is a lifestyle thing for him, and he has fully committed at this point. So, funny, hilarious guy, very cool, very down to earth, and I think just kind of blew me away. So, really nice guy there.
Why the hell aren't you here? Come on, man. You left your man all alone.
Also got to meet Gun Drummer. If you don't know Gun Drummer, you like bands like Metallica and Korn, and some that I hadn't even heard of. If you like heavier rock, you need to go check him out. He is really cool, really down to earth. Seemed really surprised that his channel has done as well as it has. At least that's what he told me. And just an awesome guy. So if you don't follow him, there's going to be links to these channels in the description. Definitely give it a look, because it's pretty creative what he does for sure. I got to meet Autumn from Autumn's Armory. Autumn is a little girl with a big heart and a big passion for shooting. And honestly, I took a picture with her, and yeah, I had to, because I came home and showed my 3-year-old daughter. And she likes the idea of shooting. She hasn't started shooting with me yet, but I think that it's awesome that we're getting more girls and women into the shooting sports, because this truly is something for everybody. It's got something to offer everybody, I think. And I think that's awesome. As I was getting ready to go on this trip, and I'd kind of mentioned it a couple times in other videos, there were several of you that said, try to link up with Tundra Tactical if he's there and you get a chance. So Tundra and I and his cameraman ended up meeting up at Thursday night at the hotel. We had a little meet and greet there. And as snarky and funny as he is in his videos, every bit just as funny, laid back, and cool to be around in person. So again, if you haven't checked him out, check him out. He definitely makes me laugh. He's got a lot of, it's just funny stuff. You got to watch it. I think if you don't get mad at him, just wait, and he'll give you a chance to be mad. But it's a very cool channel. I find it very entertaining and funny for sure. So I also wanted to give the biggest shout out here. There were, you guys have heard me talk about Steve from Mr. Big Kid channel. He's in Arizona. We had talked, we'd collaborated on a couple little video projects and things like that before. I think we had shouted each other out. Well, Steve and I got to meet in person at this event. And when we met, I also met Kyle from Gear Know-How and Kent from The Gun Snob. So again, links are going to be in the description. These guys were cool. That's who I spent the majority of my time with, was Steve, Kyle, and Kent. And we had a ball, guys. the clips of me shooting. 3 of them helped get those. I helped get some of them. Just a phenomenal time and a great time to kind of come together as a community. A lot of times content creators like myself that are isolated kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and especially when you're small, you know, it's very hard to get on anybody's radar to kind of collaborate with. Getting to go to something like that and kind of meet your tribe, if you will, was a very, very cool experience. So I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. I don't talk about Patreon too much on here because the way I look at it, I'm a guy pursuing his hobby. A lot of you guys have the same hobby, and I feel guilty asking for money from you guys to do this. So I don't talk about it a lot, but I do want to shout out to the Patreon supporters. The donations from you guys is part of what helped me get out there, paid for the gas in my hotel while I was there. So, and Whataburger. So thank you, especially for the Whataburger. But I do want to shout those guys out. I do appreciate that. There is always a link in the description to my videos for Patreon if you are so inclined. Please never feel like it's something that you have to do, but it is appreciated if you do. I do want to thank everybody that voted for me for this and Breakout Creator of the Year and Best Gun Reviewer. That means the world to me. Kind of knew I probably wouldn't win an award just because it becomes about the numbers, and these bigger channels, well, they've got the numbers. So I knew that going in, but just to have the support from you guys, that meant the world to me. And just to go and meet these people and take part in something like this, well, I still feel like I won. So there is that. Please stay safe, everybody, and keep shooting if you can, keep dry firing if you can't. Hopefully things start to settle down here soon in terms of ammunition availability and things like that. I know that things are crazy right now. One other thing, guys, if you see companies like Cheaper Than Dirt, price gouging, I'm throwing that out there because it's the easiest example I could think of. Just blatant price gouging, not supply and demand, things like that. Do me a favor, remember that. When things go back to normal in terms of pricing and availability, remember the people that you saw charging $150 for a box of 59mm or whatever. Remember that stuff. Don't do business with them if they're going to take advantage when times are bad. And I understand supply and demand. I'm not one of those guys. I'm a free market guy. So as part of the free market, I'm advocating that we collectively remember when people are just taking plain advantage, and don't give them our business. It's just that simple. Let them know with your dollar how you feel. So that's what I'll be doing. So if you guys ever want me to order from Cheaper Than Dirt, sorry, and you'll also never see affiliate links from Cheaper Than Dirt. So stay safe, and I'll see you next time.